So what happens when two third-generation Arizona women authors who are passionate about their state start talking about experiences, insights, and memories of different places? They don't stop talking. They write a book, and then they start a podcast. Welcome to Celebrating Arizona with Julie Morrison and Lisa Schnebly Heidinger. Grab your favorite drink and settle in. We're celebrating Arizona, going everywhere from A to Z. And we're off.
Celebrating more Arizona, are we?
Let us celebrate more Arizona.
The
Yes.
celebrating commence.
Yeah. So I heard a story once. It just reminds me of a man who used to plan his vacations by spreadsheet, which I, being a planner, thought was a brilliant idea. And there was a space for spontaneous fun. So it was it was planned spontaneous fun. So yes, celebrations commence, begin.
That's funny. I wonder if it ever worked. Okay,
Right?
now we're going to have
Yeah.
spontaneous fun. If you wander down to the marina, could you generate some spontaneous fun,
Yeah,
or would
right.
the pressure
Yeah.
just choke you?
Everybody just start laughing or doing silly party tricks. How does that work?
Interesting. That's cute. I'm glad you remembered that.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you're gonna start our little journey of
Lead
discovery
off
today.
yes. So I am taking us, and this will be a quick stop from me because I'm going to talk a little bit more later. I am going to take us to the Triple T truck stop off of I-10
Oh,
south of downtown Tucson because for many reasons. It's a great diner, and I love a diner that is even anywhere north of pretty good. So I love a diner.
north of pretty
It
good. I
has,
like that.
it has, lest we not learn from Garrison Keeler, above average is just fine. So, okay, moving on. It's this great diner with a counter and booths and, this enormous menu, hamburgers and Mexican food and soups and coffee and pie. When I was I was 8 years old, I think, or 7 when I went to one of my first horse shows. And it was at the Pima County Fairgrounds. And the
Oh,
Triple T was one of the most reliable places to be able to get a meal either early in the morning before the show was started or late after the show was done. And it always had great soup. So it was a super place to stop in these days. Been there more recently. It still is. I love Barbara Kingsolver's writing at least as much as I love diners of any kind. And she mentions the Triple T truck stop
I
in
didn't remember that.
yes, she has 2 books that are based on Tucson, The Bean Trees and Pigs in Heaven. And it is in one of those books. I think it is Pigs in Heaven where
Okay.
I think it's the boyfriend says, "Tell me you're at the Triple T truck stop and I'm going to come and get you."
Oh,
Yeah, there are so many reasons to love this place, and those are just a handful. And so we are stopping in there today. And so clearly you
terrific.
know it.
Yes, I remember my dad, my amazing cousin, Larry Koenig, who is probably, in terms of adventures per capita, walking around in the body that has had the most adventures of anyone I have ever met in my life.
Oh, wow.
Just he
Okay.
would kayak through storm drains. And when he was pretty young, he took it in his head to see if he could hitchhike out to Arizona from Baton Rouge and commenced to do so. And I
Wow.
remember my dad getting a call kind of late. Hey, I'm at a Triple T truck stop, and going out to get him. He was an exotic creature in my very prescribed little world. His mind was not limited to what is. He was always looking at what isn't yet and could I pull it
Mm,
off. And so the Triple T,
nice.
that you know what, I bet that was the first time I was ever there because it wasn't in my milieu.
Sure.
It was way south and it
Yeah,
was
it's
on a
south of
freeway.
town.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I think, am I right that the picture had pie and ice cream, or did it just have a sign about pie and ice cream?
I don't remember a picture. I only
Okay.
remember the 3 T's, in it was a big round sign and 3 red T's, as
In
I recall
neon.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, good old
yeah.
neon. Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Yes. And so, because we are on I-10, we are perfectly situated to get to anywhere next that you want to take us with immediate highway access.
Well, and oddly, actually, I'm going somewhere where there is no highway access. So, yeah,
Okay.
let's break and then we'll come back and head north.
Okay, very good.
So I've learned a new word I'm sharing with you: semi-quincentennial, half of 500 or 250. From now on, we can say AZ250. That's the commission leading our celebration of the United States' big birthday next year. We are excited to be the podcast partner, and we'll be sharing aspects of the AZ250 plans. One, the special passport highlighting treasures to visit around Arizona, in addition to hikes and breweries and parks, oh my. You can look it up online with the https://azsos.gov/passport 250.
And so we continue on to someplace with no highway access, you say?
Well, and that might have been a slight exaggeration, but I was there last week. I texted you from there, so you already know this. But for those of you I didn't text last week, I went to Chelly in the very, very, very far
Yes.
northeastern part of Arizona on the Navajo lands. And in going to Chelly, I was seeing roads I've not seen before, which is always so much fun when you think, I've
Sure.
never driven this. What I didn't do is remember that that part of the state is on daylight saving, and so I was late to my appointment, which was such a chagrining thing.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating, and Paula Duncan, our old friend, Lindsay's high school prom date, went with me, as you also know, because I texted you. But
Yes.
neither she nor I had been to Canyon de Chelly in a very long time. And
Yeah.
we made a very brief stop at Canyon de Chelly. But for the purposes of things, when I say not on a freeway, once we were getting closer to Chenli and Chelly and Canyon de Chelly, it's very what Larry would call blue highways, 2-lane.
Yes, this is undivided. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know that Tom was delighted that since you and I were not making this trip, that Paula was, because
For sure.
you could really end up by yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
these are a lot of miles, not highly trafficked, for
yes,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it was good to not be. Although it reminds me of when Doug Kreutz said that his wife had heard something in their house and whispered, "I'm so glad you're here," and he felt totally unequipped to deal with whatever was coming up, and said, "I could yell, 'Be careful! There's two of us!' But really, are Paula and I together suddenly going to know Taekwondo? I mean, but it's just better to have two heads. That's all. It
It
just
is.
is.
And four hands.
That's true
'Cause
too.
you just, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
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 So it was fascinating country. It was when I walked into the little restaurant, I think it was the Landmark, there was a very, very, very elderly woman paying. Had to be 90 and very slight. And the girl behind the counter said, "Thanks, Grandma." And I thought,
Oh,
I had certainly heard of the honorifics of grandmother and grandfather. I'd
yes.
never heard it, diminutized to grandma, but that was cute. And
Yeah.
I texted you because I think the most memorable part of the whole thing was seeing in a shallow swale by the side of the 2-lane road, two horses hanging out, just hanging out, and asking two different people in businesses, "What's with the horses?" And either they thought, "None of your business, Ed brings them down and hopes tourists will feed them," or didn't care or didn't know, but whatever it was, it's the first time I have ever seen two horses standing by a reasonably traveled road, just existing. So I texted you to say, "What can I feed them?" And you wisely
Yes.
suggested apples and carrots.
And oatmeal.
And
Yeah.
oatmeal, that's right. And we didn't buy oatmeal, but we did get we had one apple and then bought carrots. And feeding the horses by the side of the road in Chenli is something I will never forget that I got to do.
I
It was
bet.
an interesting experience. However, we then also did proceed to Canyon de Chelly, where I'd not been since I was tiny, and I didn't remember a lot about it that I found remarkable enough now to share with you and all of us who are celebrating Arizona, because I thought it was interesting. I didn't know that it has been inhabited for 5,000 years.
Oh
which
my goodness. No.
I
Wow.
would have missed that on any pop quiz.
For
5,000.
sure.
And they
Yeah.
kind of broke it into Anasazi, Basket Maker, Pima, Hopi, Navajo. So the Navajo,
Wow.
who are still living there and have for 400 years, are then suddenly the relative newcomers, which
Yeah.
I didn't picture.
Yeah.
And we didn't do the 2 hour walk. Some of the places were closed because this is the time of year they can do road repair and stuff.
For
But we
sure. Yeah.
did drive a section of the North Rim and get to look down. And the desert varnish knocked me out. I've never seen such dramatic desert varnish. So
Okay,
all
and
the,
hand in the air, because what do you mean by desert
I'm
varnish? I
sorry.
don't know this term.
My assumption is anything I know, surely everybody knows because I don't know that much. But desert varnish is where the rains have left their mark. So when we're in West
Oh,
Fork and we see those brown striations
yes.
coming in, or
Okay.
it's like a negative of Virga, if anybody's old enough to remember film negatives where things are the opposite color of
Okay,
what they
yes.
are. So
Okay.
it's Virga in negative. It's a dark stain on
Interesting.
canyon walls. And somehow there, I don't know if it's the composition of the stone, but boy, is it dramatic. I was blown away.
And are there still crops being grown on the canyon floor?
Some, yes. And I
That's what
think,
knocked me out when I remember stopping at Canyon de Chelly on my way. We were driving from Flagstaff to Northfield, Minnesota,
oh my
home of St. Olaf
gosh.
College, and Mom and I went through as
Oh,
many national parks, national and state parks as we could, and Canyon de Chelly was one of them. And I was just amazed to see those are row crops being grown on the canyon floor. And of course, that makes sense because there would be water, but still,
but you're a farm girl. You're used to seeing
yeah,
crops in a very different setting,
yes, for
not
sure.
kind of cheek
Yeah,
by jowl with essentially
yeah,
ruins or ancient structures.
yeah, yeah,
Fun.
yeah. That would,
So,
well, I'm glad I'm glad somebody's still farming there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, and I wouldn't still if I hadn't gotten the little brochure they gave us when we went in. But Spider Rock, that's so famous
Yes.
for car commercials, 800 feet. I didn't, and other things.
Okay.
Spider Rock is a very
Uh,
significant sacred place in the Dene culture. And,
yes,
and
and is also featured in many car commercials. But
I
okay,
shouldn't have
yeah,
led with that, though. That
yeah,
was
cart
clumsy.
leading the horse
Yeah,
just a touch
very
there, but
clumsy.
that's okay. We unwound it. We're doing
Apologies
fine.
from a repentant Belagana white person.
Yes.
So yeah, 800 feet. I thought that was pretty cool.
I
Um,
had no idea. I don't remember looking at Spider Rock. I don't know if it's because all I could do is look down at the green or
well,
what.
you could have easily missed it because there are
Oh,
so many drives. There's North Rim Drive and South Rim Drive, and so
okay.
unless you went to where it was, and I would have to look to tell you which drive it's even on, you wouldn't have passed it.
So, see, neither being a devotee of the culture and religion, nor being much into car commercials, you'll have to tell me, does Spider Rock stand taller than anything else around it, or is it sort of the same level as the rest of the canyon?
It's probably the same level as the rest of the canyon, but by
Okay.
itself.
Okay.
So
Yep.
it looks
Yep.
like the only one of it,
Okay.
in my recollection.
Okay.
I didn't see it on this trip, but that's how I remember it. Just like, oh my gosh, what is that? And therefore, but I doubt it's higher. It's just alone.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't remember, but I know that it's figured prominently in the stories.
yes,
Yeah.
the Hillerman and all the
Well,
others.
Spider Woman, right?
Right? Yes.
Yeah, comes
And
from,
you say you're not a devotee.
well, I know enough to know I don't know much. So,
I think that's a really good amount to know because
yeah,
that
maybe
keeps us
so.
from telling people who know more than we do about something.
Being humble, maybe so. Yeah.
But speaking of that, we talked the other day. Our question was, did I want to give the 48-hour tour of Northern Arizona? And I
Ah,
did.
yes.
And
Yes.
you do know things, and so do you.
I know things about what I would recommend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Can you answer that question? What
I
would a
can.
Southern Arizona 48-hour tour look like?
Okay, so assuming that you are having to fly in and out of Sky Harbor. I would take you first to Sabino Canyon because for the most part, you can go there and see something wonderful, whether you walk for a short time or a long time. And if short to medium, you can even splash around something. And that is such a novelty to our idea of Arizona, and especially Southern Arizona, that's where I would take us first. And then I would hope to get you checked in to the Arizona Inn in time for either their afternoon tea or ice cream bar,
Oh,
depending on what time of
yes.
year it is. Depending on if you're restless, I would take you down 4th Avenue and we'd go get
Oh,
tacos at Penca downtown. And maybe try to catch a show at the Fox because it's such a just wonderful old restored theater. Or I'd keep you in the neighborhood and have dinner at the Kingfisher. They have wonderful seafood, and you kind of can't go wrong with anything there.
God, now I want fish. Yeah, that's
So
a great
yeah.
idea.
The next morning, I would recommend that you walk or bike the U of A Mall. Get a taste of Old Main and the big palm trees and have
Yeah.
a sense of this is such a gathering spot for Tucson and many people who have been there. And then on our way out of town, we would absolutely stop at the Triple T for coffee and snacks
Nice.
before driving to Patagonia, so that
Okay.
you can see the highway that I love so much on the way there, stroll the square, come back up north to the Sonoyta Crossroads and stop at Dos Cabezas Winery so that you
Okay.
can learn something about the viticulture in the area.
Good
There,
idea.
yep. And I believe they have maybe the oldest vineyards in Arizona, or they use grapes from them, or something like this. They have a relationship to a lot of historic grape growth in Arizona.
Okay.
And because the idea of any grape growth is like feels a little far-fetched if you don't know the place,
Yeah.
again, for the sake of novelty, it's really fun to learn about this. And then I'd send you to Bisbee and tell you to take a stroll, either take or avoid as many steps as you want to. And,
Because they
you
have
know,
literal stairs all over town for
all
walking.
over. Yep. And of course, walk into the Copper Queen and on that stroll, find a drink and dinner somewhere that appeals to you.
Cafe Roca being one of the more famous dinners. But yeah, there are plenty, aren't there?
The next morning, I would say either go to Bisbee Breakfast Club.
Yes.
Yes.
We went there.
And then go up through Tombstone, go to I-10 via Tombstone, walk and gawk at the main street and see the Banksia Rose if you can. And then on your way back through town, stop at the Sinner's Shrine
Oh,
in
through
the
Tucson.
old barrio part of Tucson. Yep.
Yes.
And maybe have, brunch or lunch at the Cup Cafe at the Hotel Congress, depending on when your flight is, if you have extra time. You
Your flight's
can,
delayed, so go ahead.
yeah, right. Okay. You
Yeah.
can traipse across the street to the Made in Tucson Gallery, which has kind of Tucson's greatest hits in terms of, pictures. Like it has giclées of some of the artwork and some of the murals that are in downtown Tucson and along 4th Avenue. They have, photo books of that. They have original artwork by local artists, all kinds of just wonderful things.
A quick shout out to Paul Maynard, who is a high school peer of mine and who we met at the book festival, and you had both lived in like 4 different cities. He
Yes,
sends out a
that's right.
newsletter every week and takes pictures of Tucson's art, whether it's, signs or sculpture or whatever. And yeah, he's doing a lot of that. But I didn't know there was one place where you could see a bunch of it without knowing Paul Maynard.
You you can, and then,
How about
hope maybe
that?
someday we'll get our stickers there and you can listen to the show and then be introduced to Paul Maynard on the show as well as, perhaps
Yeah.
around the bike lanes of Tucson. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun. Now I'm dying to go. Good tour.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good.
Good
I'm glad.
tour. Well, good. Let's break and then get ready to read.
Okay, great.
It's never too early to start a celebration. Visit Flagstaff is gearing up for the centennial of Route 66. The Flagstaff Visitor Center and the historic train depot is your first stop for Route 66 adventures. You can get 66 things to do on Flagstaff's Route 66, the historic Route 66 of Arizona passport, and the Rock the Route 66 check-in challenge for starters. Visit Flagstaff on Route 66. I have a coffee mug to show us, and when I bought it, I thought, I think this is maybe the first time I bought a coffee mug knowing that it is for our podcast.
Oh, fun.
And I think you can see the stark and very accurate dark red and very northern Arizona blue sky with white clouds
Yes.
of Canyon de Chelly. And I'm betting that that would be Spider Rock right there.
Yes, I bet it is.
If
Yep.
it's not, somebody did a really interesting thing, huh?
Yeah.
And if I'd looked more closely, I would have seen that letters the same color as the picture say Spider Rock.
Ah, okay,
In case
good.
anybody
Yes.
was wondering, that is
So
definitely
we're
Spider Rock.
following along just
Yes,
fine.
we're
This is great.
tracking.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So let's see. I read first, I believe.
Yes.
And this is a little lift out from an experience I had with Larry, with Daddy, driving back from, I believe, Page in the Antelope Canyon area, place, northern, isolated. And he suddenly said, Marsh Pass. And I said, huh? And he said, this is Marsh Pass. And told me a story that I then wrote into the Journal of Sedona Schnebly.
Oh,
Because,
cool.
as you know, Larry's dad, Ellsworth Schnebly, that his mother always called Tad, was a school teacher in northern Arizona and took Larry all over northern Arizona. And this particular experience in Marsh Pass made a big impression on Larry and therefore on me, and therefore in the book on Sedona Schnebly. So it is called Marsh Pass.
Okay.
And Ellsworth has written his mother, Tad, has written his mother a letter and described bringing his new baby, Paula, home with her mother, Lucille, and the two now older siblings, Patsy and Larry. And they're in a car driving back up to Denahutso. She was born, I think, in Gallup. At Marsh Pass, Tad hit a very wet spot, which he realized in hindsight must have been dark ice, where it's thawed and refrozen to slickness but doesn't show, and the car began to slide slowly sideways, which was a terrible feeling since the road there is next to a sheer drop hundreds of feet down. Tad said he didn't even know what he did except essentially absolutely nothing. No jerky or panicked or extreme reaction, just the tenderest, lightest application of the brake. And the car stopped, as far as he could tell, with the front wheel on Lucille's side already an inch or two over the precipice. I knew the quiet, sort of conversational tone he must have used to Lucille when he told her they were all going to move so very slowly out his and Larry's door onto the road. Tad knows anything can happen when you travel an empty country, so he's well prepared. Pretty soon he had a fire going in the large, flat aluminum pan that's always in the trunk of his car. He also keeps a tarp. He was able to stretch from a big rock to an expandable set of poles he drove into the dirt over that fire, keeping his family warm and dry. Tad then let himself look down over the edge and saw that indeed the car was placed pretty much as he had surmised. He walked out into the road, waiting and listening in the rain. He thought it wasn't more than half an hour until a wagon pulled up by a team. The driver was Navajo, and Tad had picked up enough words to be able to explain their predicament in the man's tongue. So for a negotiated price, the man unhitched his wagon, used Tad's ropes, again always waiting in the trunk, knotted to the front bumper of that new car, rehitched the horses, and those good horses pulled it slowly back into the center of the road. Tad said the Navajo didn't waste any facial expression, but did give him a look like, "You know how lucky you were," and Tad nodded and thanked him again. They got home safely. That's kept coming back to me, how swiftly something changes from mundane to dangerous, more out here than back east. There are still more wild places here, and fewer people, and extreme weather, and rough roads. How long would it have been before someone would have seen the wreckage glinting down below once the sun was back out? I have to write it down to get it out of my head.
Yeah.
But
This is, we know that these are communities that are peopled, but
yes,
there's just not the traffic counts
exactly.
that we rely on or become used to in a city space,
Yeah.
for sure.
And rereading it, I wondered if we're more or less prepared now. I certainly don't have a tarp or an aluminum pan or rope in my
Yeah,
trunk.
for sure.
And I would hope that I had cell service, but I have no idea
There's
if
a good
there's.
chance
And
not.
in a way, we're even less prepared because we think we have cell service until we
Right.
don't.
Yep.
So, yeah. But they all made it out, and thank goodness. And I got up and back with no misadventures. And, but yeah, I don't think it's bad to remember that we're not that far from needing help.
It's also an interesting thing to need help because perhaps I've been lucky, but I've been graced by very generous people. Like that this is a place when I've needed help, I've received it and usually received more than I would have expected.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think your countenance is probably very welcoming and approachable, and I don't think you would have gone up and said, "I demand help and I want it now, sir."
Yeah, right.
You know
Yeah.
that how both of us interact.
This is true. If I keep my monster face in the car,
You look so sweet.
walk around like a human being, that has, my chances of receiving, yes, help
That's
increased
cute.
mightily. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is true. Yeah.
Well,
That's
what
funny.
what sort of reading do you have for us, my dear?
Yeah, so today I have a poem called Highway. Whips of motion whoosh past, winds of their own making. The passing world and me white noise to one another. I want to whine that it won't listen, won't slow down, won't attend, will only rush, racing, roaring through, ever through, pausing only to rumble, shift, throttle, thrum, then resume. I am nowhere if not part of its traffic. A rest stop doesn't rate. Stillness is the styrofoam cup of ambition. I must restart, rejoin, regain, lest I hear it say in the rare, bare asphalt moment, slow down. To which I can only respond, this is no place to break.
And is break spelled B-R-A-K-E or B-R-E-A-K?
Yep, that's the fun of the poet's trick. So it's Brake, but it works both ways. Yep.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
And bare asphalt is cute.
yeah. The bare asphalt moment.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, good. So, yeah, that's the highway poem.
That's the highway poem.
Interesting that we would both pick essentially highway
That's right.
experiences today.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be darned. I don't think we've done, and especially because our places, well, yours is a truck stop,
Hmm.
admittedly, Canyon de Chelly, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fun.
And
That's
Saley,
great
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of Tom's old general managers had, when Tom was satellite driver and always on the road with a bunch of people, he had a credit card, and Dell Lewis, who had created the company and was, going to pay the bills for the people who worked and then ate on the road late, Tom would put down the card and say, "Thank you, Dell. May we have another?" And
Very
that's kind of
nice.
stuck in my head. So I just thought, "Thank you, Julie. May we have another?"
Yes, next episode.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And we hope you'll join us and thank you for being with us on this one.
Amen.
So we'll see you next time, and that means bye for now.
We'd really like to hear from you about anything this show led you to think about. Write to us at celebratingaz.com. The wizard behind making a conversation into a podcast is Tom Heidinger. The music comes from Daniel Blattman, and I'm Dana Cooper.